The Chinese government is dispatching its envoy and former ambassador to Russia, Li Hui, to Ukraine this week, as well as to Poland and to France and to Germany and to Russia. They say this is an effort to move toward a Beijing-mediated peace talk. And joining us now for a bipartisan interview, the top members of the Select Committee on China, Republican Chairman Mike Gallagher of Wisconsin and Democratic Ranking Member Congressman Krishnamoorthi of Illinois. Chairman Gallagher, let me start with you. How realistic or unrealistic is it, do you think, for China to try to broker any sort of peace deal? Do they have the standing to do so?
They do not, because, of course, China is fueling Putin's war machine. China is standing by Vladimir Putin. Xi and Putin have a no-limits partnership, and I think it's important for us to understand the depths and the scale of this partnership, and for that to give us the energy to continue our support of the Ukrainians, to make sure that we're modernizing our defense industrial base, to build the weapons that we need not only to help the Ukrainians fight for themselves, but to replenish our stockpiles, as well as provide weapons in the Indo-Pacific. And so let's not allow the Chinese Communist Party to perpetrate this narrative that somehow they're peacemakers when they are, in fact, supporting Putin's war machine.
So even beyond that, Congressman Krishnamoorthi, Ukraine's President Zelensky, he's made it clear that he will not accept any peace deal without liberating the entirety of Ukraine, including Crimea, which Russia illegally annexed in 2014. So I wonder if there is even a peace deal to be had.
Well, it's certainly not the Chinese peace deal, which I think the 13-point plan still recognizes Russian aggression in Ukraine by recognizing their claims to Ukrainian land. Unless they call for a pullback of those troops, there's not going to be any peace deal.
Chairman Gallagher, I have to just ask you in terms of Ukraine. I mean, we've heard some pretty wobbly comments from Trump, DeSantis, even Speaker McCarthy when it comes to supporting Ukraine in what is, not to overstate it, an existential threat to its existence as a democracy. Does that make your job harder? Obviously, you are pretty forthright in your expressions of support for Ukraine.
Well, I think we need to do a better job, particularly for those of us who are also advocating for an investment in defense more broadly, of really explaining what we're up against in the form of the Chinese Communist Party and how you cannot isolate the Russia threat from this broader no-limits partnership. What I increasingly see is a de facto alliance against the West in terms of Xi, Putin, and to a lesser extent, the Iranians. So teasing out the depths of that partnership is one part of the effort. The other thing is really understanding what the crisis in Ukraine has revealed, which is just the fragility of our defense industrial base, our munitions industrial base, and making sure that we never put ourselves in this position again where we're struggling to manufacture things that we've neglected for years. So we can fix that problem through things like multi-year procurement for critical long-range precision fires, but that requires some action here on Capitol Hill.
Congressman Krishnamoorthi, Zelensky reiterated his desire for U.S.-made F-16 fighter jets. U.S. officials are constantly saying they're reluctant to send Ukraine weapons that can strike inside Russian borders, but Ukraine, we know now, has British stealth missiles that have a 155-mile range. So I don't really fully understand the argument because they have the ability to hit inside Russia.
I personally think that it's a good idea to provide those weapons. I do think that one other thing that we should mention is that we are trying to work with our allies and partners in the region to provide them with the armaments they require. I think that we should provide them with the ATACMS as well, which is the long-range missile, which is one step higher than what we have provided with the HIMARS. What we've learned is that the Russians are moving back their outposts and targets beyond the range of the HIMARS, so it's logical to provide the Ukrainians with the next-level weapon to be able to deter attacks from those and to punish attacks coming from those further regions.
Chairman Gallagher, on the subject of China, there's a former employee bringing a wrongful termination lawsuit against ByteDance. That's, of course, the Chinese-owned parent company of TikTok. And this former employee claims that China's Communist Party had, quote, supreme access to all data held by ByteDance. Now, the Biden administration has threatened a nationwide U.S. ban on the app unless the Chinese owners sell their stakes in the company. That hasn't happened yet. What's the holdup on that?
Well, I think we need to arrive at a unified position here in the House. I'd like to arrive at a bipartisan position. We actually have a bipartisan bicameral bill. I'm in favor of a ban or a forced sale because we can't allow TikTok to become the most dominant media platform in America, not just because of the ability to exfiltrate data, track your location, but really the ability to control the news, determine what young Americans get in terms of their news, determine their sense of reality. That's very dangerous, particularly if you believe, as I do, that TikTok is owned by ByteDance and ByteDance is effectively controlled by the Chinese Communist Party. I would say the allegations of this employee contradict in many ways the testimony of TikTok's CEO before Congress a couple months ago, and that's very troubling.
It also matches the claims of the whistleblower who came forward to Congress to talk about what actually happens with regard to TikTok and ByteDance. We have to remember that ByteDance is beholden to the Chinese Communist Party at the very highest levels. The secretary of the internal cell at ByteDance, the Chinese Communist Party cell embedded there, is the editor-in-chief of ByteDance.
Yeah.
And so it's just a bizarre kind of marriage between ByteDance and the CCP, and we have to recognize it for what it is.
Congressman Mike Gallagher and Raja Krishnamurthy, the chair and ranking Democrat on the Select Committee on China. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.